系，不免非白的七。
Good afternoon, everyone. So now we will start our second workshop. So for this workshop, we will write an app that looks like this. It's a weather app, so we will get the weather from openweather.org, and then we will learn how to write a network request to get the JSON. Anyone of you know JSON? So JSON is just a string that contains all the data. Then we will learn how to parse the JSON data and put it into a string and display like this, just the value of 31 or 34. I think today is 32 degrees. So first, let's start. Okay. So this is a hands-on workshop, so we will do step by step. So first we will start a new Xcode project. And then you click on the Xcode app, and then you click on create a new Xcode project. And then iOS application, you choose a single view application. And you click next. For the product name, you can put anything. I will put demo. And then organization name, you can put anything. I will just put C, and then for the organization identifier, you can put anything you like com.c. And it's very important to choose the language. Remember to choose Swift instead of Objective-C. And we choose Swift. For devices, we will choose iPhone. And untick the use core data. And you tick the include unit test, and also click the include UI test, and we'll click next. And I will create the project at the desktop. Click on create Git repository on your Mac, and just create. And then you have a whole new project. And you can try to run it on a simulator. On the top left corner, you can choose to run on iPhone 6s, and then just click on the play button, and then you'll just wait for the program to compile and see the application on the simulator. If a simulator is too big, you can adjust the size from choosing, I think, hard. With a shortcut. You can click on command 1, command 2, command 3. I think you will use command 3 for the size of the correct simulator. Okay, so the next step we will do is to get the weather from openweather.org. So head to the share folder on Google Drive. So today we use class 2 notes on the Google Drive. Anyone of you haven't access to Google Drive? Okay, everyone has access. So we'll open class 2 notes. And you can see the link openweather.org. Just open the link. And once you open weather map, you just sign up for a new account. For me, I have already signed up, so I'll just sign in to my account. For those who haven't, just sign up for a new account using your email address. So everyone has created an account. Who haven't created? So OpenWeather is a website that provides an API for us to get the current weather or the forecast of a few days of weather in a city. So if you actually click on the API tab, you can see that they have many different kinds of API. For current weather data, it's free for free users. If you want to get 5-day or 3-hour forecast, you might need to pay for it. Let's see. Yeah. So for today's, we are going to get the current weather in Hong Kong right now. So we'll use the current weather data API. So every time you're writing something like this, you always read that document. So there will be API doc here. Yeah, just click on API doc. And you will see the documentation for the API, how to use it. So by city name, so if I want to get the weather in Hong Kong, I can just use this one. So you can click on this one. This is the example of how to call the API. Just click on that. And you get an error message saying your API key is wrong. Because if you open the top part, this is your OURL. Or I can just copy and paste it somewhere and let me see.
So delete the last one.
Yeah. So So we have choose the city to be London, UK, but the app ID is our API key. So this is the wrong one. So we need to replace the API key with the one we created with our account. So you go back to Safari, go back to the home page. Okay, let me sign in again. Okay, this is your profile. You click on API keys. So you can see these are the API keys you can use to get the weather data. You can always create a new one. So let's say for this one, I would say for workshop. Then I will generate a new key. Yeah, I didn't get it too. So all you need is to copy and paste this one. Copy it. And I will open the API again. API doc. So this is the one to open. So all you need is to replace this whole string, delete it, and paste your API key, and click enter. Okay, let me copy again. Copy and paste. I'll use another one, it's fine. So if your API key is correct, you will get, this is called JSON data. So this is the data of your weather of your current city. So if I want to get the weather in Hong Kong, I will just replace London with Hong Kong. So in the link, I'll replace London, UK to Hong, and I'll get the temperature in Hong Kong.
CPU 好似有 CPU 好似不過好樣衰喎。我遲啲就會將新版嘅版台都加落去。 其實邊個嚟㗎？呢啲叫其實呢啲係呢個係標牌，主要因為我睇到 C 嗰定 USB 有3個，有3個標牌，哦，但係 C 得1個標牌。前呢個係紅色㗎，好似而家呢個翻去條。我今朝翻嚟見到咯。
其實上個禮拜啲我 friend 係 Snapchat 嗰時候，都係垃圾喎。
佢呢個正常嘅就係要整嗰啲油，可以自己都會打佢咯。
So as you can see, it's very unreadable. So when you are doing development, you have something called an API client. I'm using Paul. Where's Paul? Paul. It's a paid app, or you can use some existing freeware. So Paul is an API client for you to send network requests. If I copy and paste this one and put it in here and send the request. So this is actually, this one is the same as this one. So this whole kind of messy thing, when you use a client, you can display very accordingly. So it's very clear, and then you can see that the thing we need is the main temperature in Hong Kong. So the main temperature is now 305.35, and this value is in Kelvin. So we need to convert Kelvin into Celsius. So we'll just use Google. So I will just copy 305.35. I'm going to use Google. Kelvin to Celsius. So in Hong Kong, it's actually now 32.2 degrees Celsius. So now we have demonstrated how to get the data. So we're going to pass the whole thing into iOS. So now we will start writing our function to get the request and everything. So we'll go back to our app. Where's our app? So this is our app. This is a storyboard. But because we need to program it, so we will use the view controller. We'll select view controller.swift and we'll start coding on it. So first, let me delete everything. So this is an empty class now. So today we will use everything we learned about Swift, the basic syntax in Swift, and write the real program in iOS. So first, we declare some variable, like we need the location to be Hong Kong. Just let location equals to Hong Kong. We declare a constant to store our location Hong Kong. And then we will have another constant to store our API key. So let API key equals to, and I'll copy the API key from the request which now is in here, is at the end. This one. I copy the whole API key and I'll paste it in here. So these are the two constants we declared. Okay. So the next step, we want our weather to update every time we open the app. Every time the app appears, we want the weather to be updated. So last time we learned about the life cycle of the view controller. There's a view did load, view will appear, view did appear. Then we can see what's being displayed in the screen. So for today's, we will write our function in view will appears. So we will overwrite the function view will appear, this one. And always remember to call the super class super dot view will appear and put true inside the animator. So let's test it if it's actually working. So let's say we print it appear. So by doing this, the program will actually print this line when the app appear, when the app trying to appear. So now you try to run it on the simulator. First you stop it and then you run it again. You wait for it. And then this one, the bottom part, is where you see the log message of your program. So the print it appear actually appear here, it appear, something like this. You can always close the left one, it's not that useful. So to close the left one, you will click on this one, close the left one. And then if you want to look at it, you can drag it up so it will appear more. So this is a log message you printed out just now. So we will continue to implement. Okay. So now let's get the request from the web. So now I'll declare the URL string inside my view will appear. So let URL string equals to, I'll just copy the whole API weather map and put it inside here. And you can see we actually have the API key right inside the string. But this is not the best practice because all the time when we work together, we need to change the API key very often. We will change the location very often. So it's not a good practice to put everything hard-coded into a string. So we will use what we learned last time. We will replace it with a variable. So to do that, first let me replace Hong Kong with the location variable. So you highlight Hong Kong. So if you cannot see, it's here. Highlight Hong Kong. Delete it. I'll put a backslash and then a bracket. And I'll type location. So it's a backslash and a bracket and a variable, the constant name home location. And I'll replace the app ID with backslash bracket API key. And then I want to test if it is correct, so I'll print it out. I'll print URL string in the program run. I'll run it again on the simulator. And this is your URL string when you run it. But actually this URL is not safe to be used as a request, because if you see what I copy and paste just now, if I go to Safari and copy the whole thing and I compare it with the one we print, you see what I copy from Safari, there's a percentage 20, but this one, the Hong Kong, it has no percentage because this one is a safe URL and this one is not safe. The safe URL will try to replace a spacebar or any special character with something we call Unicode or a more safe URL, so our request will not crash. So in order to pass this string into something safer, we'll use UTF-8 encoding, encode the string first before we send it as a request. So to do that, we will declare another variable. Let URL save string. You can put any name you want. So we'll pass URL string, and then we'll use a function. The function is called string by adding percentage encoding with allowed characters. It's a very wrong name, so don't use the wrong function. It's string by adding percent encoding with allowed characters. And in the parameter, we are going to use an X character set dot, I think it's called query, URL query allow character set. So this is the function. And this time I'm going to print the URL save string instead of the URL string. And now the URL save string actually have percentage 20 replace the spacebar. So this is a URL save string now.
不然你交流是因为。
So let's continue. Do you realize that there is actually an optional that's descripting this string, because this function will actually return a null if we fail to parse it. Let's say our URL is not a valid URL string, then it will return a nil. So this one is actually an optional type. In order to use it, we need to unwrap it first before we can use it. So to unwrap, we'll use if let. We have taught that last lesson, so we use it now. So I'll use if let save string. Save string is a variable you declare yourself, and then I'll point it to URL save string. Okay, when I type URL save string, you can see that it's an optional string instead of a string. So we'll pass URL save string here, and then I'll print save string, and I'll run it again. And now the optional is gone. It is a string and it's very safe to use. Okay, I'll continue to the next step. If you have any problem, just ask. Just stop me. So now we have a very safe request. Now we will write the function to send this request to the server and get the data back. So to do that, we will continue. We'll use NSURL session to create a request. NSURL session, because it's a singleton, so we will use a share session and dot data task with URL. And URL is an NSURL, so we'll pass the save string, convert it into a URL before we can use it. So to do that, I will do this one, declare NSURL bracket, and then I'll pass a string inside. For the string, I will pass save string. And then there's an error message. So after you write the function, remember to open bracket and close the bracket. So you see there's an error. It says NSURL optional is not unwrapped. Because when we try to pass a string into an NSURL, it is also a function that will fail and return nil. So in order to use it as a valid URL, you use to unwrap it using an exclamation mark. follow what they do. And then there's still another error. So what it say? Yeah. Because NSURL session data with URL, data class with URL actually is a callback function. Like we send a request to the server, we need to wait for it, for the result to call back, and we will receive the result. So this function will receive 3 parameters, and they are actually data from the server, response, such as response code 400, response code 200, and also we'll have error message from the server. So we'll insert them here and put an int. Data response.
正啊，好多人學啊嘛，keep 住呢個狀態，keep 到你哋畢業咧，咁就冇問題，keep 住喺你嗰度，不過間中都要休息下。呢個係 single， 呢個一個應該係需要一個
跟住呢一個就有個 insert 啊嘛，跟住你個 insert 有個 method 啊嘛，咁 method 呢個入呢個做入呢個做咩㗎嘛，呢個做 parameter 㗎嘛，但係呢一個你 initial 嗰陣有個 parameter 㗎嘛，我就嗰個叫做
即係一個 class， 即係一個 class 要攞個 insert 先。
係啊 singleton 即係變咗佢成個 runtime 只得一個 insert， 即係譬如你呢一個 class 叫做 review， 可以攞到咁多樣落去。但係如果你 singleton 就係你 insert 全部嘅，你都係用同一個 insert。所以你每次可以放翻個 insert 出嚟先有可能就好似咁。
咁即係我以後會 call 呢個 share session 呢個 insert 就唔足夠。
呢個當然啦，咁呢個就係呢一個 class 嘅 insert， 跟住就可以揾呢一個 insert， 即係屬於。
但係如果唔係 single 層嘅話，我可以用呢個 insert。
你可以用呢一個出嚟。
但係呢個 single 係佢自己定嘅。
呢個 SDK 啊。當然你可以自己寫。
So we have built the request, and because we need to run this request later, so we will declare a variable to contain the request. So we'll declare a constant called task and point it to this request. And right at the bottom of this request, we will just write task.resume. And this will actually run the request for us. And then we will try to build and run it here. and then you get an error message like this one.
最後尾要有個 pass 書呢種控制條字啊，暫時未知。嗰個 URL query allow 係咩意思？呢句因為呢度嗰條 URL 咧 get 出嚟係會有 space 入邊，咁而家就要將呢條 URL 曲翻去盡量冇 space， 即係用 percent 去收埋條 space， 咁就去幫佢令到呢條 URL 係 save 去做個
即係因為可能你平時攞啲可能啲 special character， 咁如果你唔做呢個 allow character set 嘅一個 transformation 咧，咁就會有問題。係慢慢做。隔離嗰位同學咧，慢慢做。OK， 逐日都課到。好。
呢係 declare 嗰個件事，跟住你有翻呢個 task， 係啦，咁就係 send 呢個 call 呢個就 run 呢個 task， 跟呢個 task 有個 callback， 即係 execute task， 呢個叫 start。
So let us continue. You get this error message because starting iOS 9, Apple has blocked any request that is not pointing to an HTTP because we need a more secure web. So if this website is HTTP, they will try to block your request. So in order to allow a request sent to an HTTP website, we need to do something in the info.plist. So to do this, actually in your Google Drive, if you check our shared drive in here, you check our notes, and then actually I have put a link here on Stack Overflow. So this Stack Overflow post will teach you how to solve this problem. And then I will do it, you can read it at home, and I will do it now in Xcode. So back to Xcode, stop the program, and open the project navigator. You click on this one, and then you can see the project navigation. And then you click on info.plist. Info.plist, click on it, and you will see a list of properties. So these are the list configured for the environment for the project. So to allow loading of HTTP website, you need to, here at the top one, you add, and then this one support autocomplete, so I'll just type add. You can see there's you just type add, there will be an add transport security settings. And then you click enter. And this one is actually a dictionary. So we'll click on the plus button of the add transport security. And you can see that Xcode is very smart, it will autocomplete for you. So you will click on allow arbitrary loads, So this one will actually allow you to load HTTP website. You click on that one and set it to yes. And then just run it again, and then you will not get the error message again. And you can see nothing is being printed now because there's no error message. Remember to expand this one first before you add. If not, you cannot find the last arbitrary rows. Anyone have any problem?
我而家就講咗，
仲講咩？點解嘅？
我哋再講啲。
嘅你冇 set
當我答問嘅。
係啊。
跟住就咁4
就是用接着黑瓦开黑瓦用我黑瓦头嘞那个开源的上 QB 手。
So let's continue with our request. So inside this callback is actually what we do after we get the request. So if I try to print out the data after we get the request, and let's see what we print. We'll print data, and I'll run it on simulator. And actually this is the request. And this is an NS data. NS data is an object in iOS. So in order to pass this into something, we can read, something like this, we need to do some method called JSON serialization. So we need to write the function to pass the whole data into a JSON string. Okay, let me write it here. And you can see NS data is also an optional type, which means it can be new. So before we can use it, we need to unwrap it first using if let. So I will declare if let JSON string equals to data. And then today we will use something new called do and catch. It's to catch an exception in iOS. So first we use do catch. And this is it. Because JSON parsing is a failable method, it can fail and without it can fail with an error message. So we need to use a do catch to use this function. So let me write the function here. If let JSON equals to NS station serialization, JSON object equal data. And for the data, we will just pass in. Oh, shit. This is wrong here. I will use JSON data instead of JSON string. Okay. And then I'll pass JSON data in here. And the root options, this one. And I will declare it as a dictionary, a JSON dictionary. And I'll get an error message. So actually we need to use try. So this do try catch is a whole package. We try to run this method. If it fails, it will jump to catch the error. If it doesn't fail, it will continue to run. And we need a bracket here because we are trying to cast. We're trying to cast the result of this method into a dictionary, which can be nil. So we'll try to use if let and use a JSON variable to store the whole result into a JSON string. If I try to print it out, you understand more. Okay, let me print JSON. And then we run it. And you can see that the data is now a JSON instead of NS data. Remember to put the try here. Try.
Jason 飛行。
Jason 呢排哦，我係 Jason 呢排，Jason 呢排。
你安全多咗。
咁嘅時候你哋知我冇啊，應該排過啦。最有咩睇？你幫然之後有咩睇？我成日都你要 stop 佢先撳咯 ，stop 佢，你 stop 佢下次就撳，OK。
邊個先？
这个人看不出，因为每个人这个前面的人看不出，前面的这种。呢度係咪就係嗰個 anchor 呢個最呢段同呢段？呢個即係擺翻上，即係依家係擺呢個動作，即係擺翻呢條 anchor 度嘅 link。
So this is actually the JSON result we get from the server. So what we're trying to get is to get name and the temperature. So to do this, we'll try to unwrap the JSON to get the name. So instead of printing JSON out, try to if I print JSON, because it's a dictionary, we can always call a key and we'll get the value. If I print JSON main, so if I print JSON with a key main, we'll get the main part of the JSON that is showing the humidity, the pressure, the temperature, and the max and mean temperature. So what we're trying to do is to get the temp. So JSON main is actually another dictionary nested inside this dictionary. So we're trying to pass it again. So we will do it again like this. So you will realize that we use if let very often because everything with the network request will fail sometimes. So if let main equals to JSON main, and then we declare it as another dictionary. And this time I want to print main temp. And hopefully we'll get the temperature value right now. Yeah. And we'll get 305.57 as an optional type. And it has no object type. Currently you can class it into anything because it can be as any object. There are actually a lot of library you can use. You can download the library from GitHub and use it in your project. And then there are much more easier way to do this. But because today we want to learn what actually happened behind the scenes, so we will write all this manually. There's actually a library called SwiftJSON. I can show you SwiftJSON. So this library enable you to pass a JSON very easily. Let me check the usage. So this library allows you to pass JSON, and then you can pass main, then temperature, then all you need to do is one line, and then you can do the whole thing without needing to declare it every time. But you can learn this after this workshop. And then today we are learning the raw method. So now we need to pass this one into our storyboard. So first now we go back to layout. I like to build it as 6S, so I would choose the size to be 6S. Where's 6S? Okay. And we have a background image. So to use the background image, we will drag the UI image view, UI image. This one. There's a component with a coconut tree. It's called image view, and we will drag it inside our storyboard. We drag this one into our storyboard, and then we will drag it to fill the whole screen. Yeah, that's it. And now I prepared an image for you guys. So if you go back to our class 2 folder, if you go back to our Google Drive folder, there is a class2.zip, download it, and then you have 3 images. Let me download it.
佢有冇啲方法 search？ 哦，第三個，嗰陣揾幾多萬都未主要。
不過下嗰個其實打牌呢個係先，嗰個打。The URL for the Google Drive is here. PDF 入邊
有冇得 zip 檔？
接到。So after you have downloaded class2.zip, you need to unzip it in your Finder. Finder is here. So many of them. Class2, 3. And then you can see there is 3 images. Because iPhone needs to support the resolution of iPhone 4S, 5S, 6S, and 6 Plus, 6S Plus. So there are basically 3 different sizes for image. So the basic size, the screen of iPhone 6S is 375 width. So they are 375, and then because it's Retina display, so actually it's 375 times 2. So for the basic image, I will use 501 as a width. And then for Retina display, I will use a 2 times, so it's like 1000. And iPhone 6 Plus, we need to use the one that's 3 times the width. So the 3 times is 1503. So to use all these images, you go back to Xcode. And then actually you can open a new tab by Command T. So you don't need to switch between so many different projects. And there's an assets.xca assets. And at the bottom part, you can click on a plus button. So you just plus and add a new image set. New image set, you double click on it, you can call it background. Okay, you call it background, and then you open your Finder, and then you just drag the one without anything to 1 times, the one with 2x to 2x, the one with 3x to 3x. Cái kiểu này hình như đây có gì thấy kiểu đang chữ tá. If you had drag it and then you just open the storyboard again, you click on image view, and in the inspector you can choose the image for it. So you just click on it and you can choose background. And you can see the image is actually stretched, it's very long, so we will use aspect fill as the image mode. Aspect fill will retain the ratio of the image and just make it bigger according to the ratio. And if you try to run it on iPhone, I think you will get an image. So the problem here is if you try to run it on an iPhone, let's say 6 Plus, and then you realize that the image will shift to somewhere else. Oh, it's too big, but yeah. You can see there is a blank being left if you run it on different devices. Because as last week we learned a little bit about auto layout. So we actually need to set the auto layout so that it will run the same on every device. So give you a better look, we can draw it here. So let's say this one is an iPhone, and then you have an image here. So the first thing you remember about auto layout, you always need to support the four sides. So let's say this one is the Y, this one is the X. Any side you didn't do it, it will become an error. So our image needs to fill the whole screen. And because different devices have different size, we cannot set the image to be 220, and then 320 on iPhone 6 Plus will be too small. So instead, we need to set how many spaces is in between each part. So there are 4 sides to every component. So in order to fill the whole screen, all this will be 0. 0 distance from the left, top, right, and from the bottom. Then only our image will fill the whole screen on every device. So to do that, we'll go back to storyboard. And then we'll click on the image view. Click on the image view. And then click on this one. The one where you can see that it's 4. This is actually the same as that one, the picture. And the constraints, the margin, always untick it, because if you tick it, you can see that there is a default 20 pixel that iOS set for you, but we don't want to use the default, so we'll just untick it, and you see actually all these are actually 0 now. What you need to do is to add it. Just click on this thing and make it red. Make all this red, and then click on add 4 constraints. And if you click on the ruler, you can see what are the things you have set. So you have set top space to the screen to 0. Leading space means the left side to 0. Trailing space means the right to 0 pixel. And the bottom space to the screen to 0 pixel. And every device it runs, it will try to expand the whole picture into a full screen. So if I run it on iPhone 4S now, it would be the same as I run it on iPhone 6S or 6 Plus. So if you practice more, actually, after this workshop, you can come to use the computer here to practice more and write more codes if you want. And for the course today, I will upload it to our folder, so you can download the source code and have a look at it. And now the image is full screen on every device. And now let's add our weather label. Okay, for the label, we will, again on this one, you'll see there is a label. And then we'll just drag the label and put it there. And then let's make the width, the height, make it maybe 60. The width, make it maybe 250. That was too big, make it 200. Make it here. I'll change color to white. I'll make it align center. I'll change the font size to 72 maybe. Yeah. And then I'll make it thin. It looks better. Or maybe I just write 25 here. I'll just put it somewhere you can see that here. true. So white color, 72 font size theme, and the width and height are 260 height, 200 width. And remember to align center. So and again, you need to set the auto layout for this label, so it will display the same everywhere. So let's say this is 25. So we need to set the width to 200 and the height to 60. But then there are two more constraints missing because you have set the width and you have set the height, but on the x-axis and on the y-axis it can float anywhere because it doesn't know where it should stand. So beside the width and height, we need to fix the x and the y. So the fix on the x-axis, we need to make it align center. So that on the x-axis, it will understand that it needs to be in the center of the screen. But how about the y? The y is now floating around too. So to fix the y-axis, we can set it to be on the size. 68. So we can set it to be 68 pixels from the top. So we have set the width, the height, the y and the x-axis, and then now it will become a correct constraint. So to set that, we will click on this one, and we'll use the same thing. So first you need to fix 68 from the top. We'll click on this one to make it red. And then we will click on the width and the height. And then there are three constraints here: width, height, and the distance to the top, 68. And then you just click on add three constraints. And it's still red because we haven't fixed the x-axis. To fix that, we need to click on this one. We need it to be horizontally centered in the container. So it will become centered in x-axis. Click on this one and add one constraint. And the arrow is gone now, everything is blue color. If you run it again, let's say I want to run it on 6S again. It should appear just fine. Yeah, it will appear like this. So what we need to do now is actually to pass the value convert this one and put it here and display the current method. So to do that, we need to connect the label to the code. So as last week we have done, we need to open this one, tools the code, so we can get a side-by-side view of the storyboard and the code of it. So this is the storyboard, and then this is the code for it. This is view controller script. Everyone get it there? Let me do the constraint part again. So now I'll clear this one, I'll clear it again. I'll clear the constraint. So for the label, we will set the width 200, the height 60, and the distance to the top 68. And we will add 3 constraints. And we'll fix it on the x-axis, so we will make it horizontally centered in container. If you get warning like this, like if you put it anywhere, you get warning like orange color warning. Orange color means your constraint is correct, but what displayed is not at the right position. So what you need to do is click on the rightmost button, and then under all views in view controller, you click on update frames. And you'll position it on the correct constraint.
即係喺呢個都要 set 翻260個名。
其實 set 都得嘅，咁佢會做啲咩咧？佢 set 咧，你見到呢度輔助啦，佢個 label，咁如果唔 set 咧，佢就用最細嘅 size web 嚟想要 show 嘅 content，就得咁多，
可能冇咗 L。
即係佢哋可能想搞到咁大㗎嘛，呢個想但係如果唔 set 咧，佢就冇 web 上。咁你一 show 出嚟，因為
佢啲字可能細咗。
因為 web 時間其實就得翻咁低，咁你即係 show 多啲字啲所以你就即係通常會 show
即係可能冚即係呢嗰兩個 L 嘅邊邊。
係啊，自己會做，所以佢就叫做因為一定係，但係頭先就因為 spell 呢個因為咧，其實佢個 principle 最少一個 central 嘅 position 咁依家 feel 晒㗎啦嘛，因為 position 呢個字都已經知呢個邊我哋俾咗呢個你未睇啦，咁你再俾呢個。
So to continue, we will open the side-by-side view, and then we'll press on Control and drag the thing, the label into the view, and we'll put it rather like this.
你想你一定知中你可能你一成咁樣20嘅，跟住落呢邊其實係又係咁多嘅，咁佢又重複，一邊即係挨得晒佢。
So we press on Control and drag it here and name it rather label using the side-by-side view.
因為連嗰個 function 咧，佢 random 就你睇就咁樣，但係實際嘅就唔知道，都最少嘅，最少將
呢個係咪叫模分嘅有啊？呢個係概念就要搞拉呢個呢度。咁咪又點樣唔知講出嚟嘅拉咗，撳一下先，撳一下先，拉咗。我真係整咗嗰個冇，講慢。
And then let me open back view controller script. So now we have the weather label here. We can change the text of it inside the function. So main the temp, we now need to cast it to a string. Or let's just okay. If that but before that, we need to convert it from Kelvin to Celsius first. So we need to cast it maybe into a double. If that maintain convert as double Kelvin temperature. So I declare Kelvin temperature and try to convert maintain as a double. Double is a variable with decimal point. And if I try to print Kelvin temperature, let's see what will happen. So now instead of an optional value, we can This one print Kelvin 10, I can get 305.94 as a double digit. Yeah. And now we convert Kelvin to Celsius. Let me check in Google. So 0 Kelvin is negative 273.15. So to convert a Kelvin to Celsius, you just minus 273.15 from the Kelvin value, then you can get the Celsius value. So let's see. Let Celsius temperature equals to Kelvin temperature minus if I print Celsius temperature, I will get the value in Celsius. So now it's actually 32.79 degrees Celsius. But the problem is we're not going to display 32.79 in our app because the user doesn't care about the 0.79. So we're trying to convert 32.79, we're trying to round it up and convert it into an integer. So in Swift, there is actually a round up function. So let me employ let rounded equals to round Celsius 10. And if I print around it, instead of 32.79, you will round it up to 33 degrees Celsius. But now it's still a decimal number. So to convert it into integer, we will use another casting called integer. Let Celsius integer equals to int so now we get our desired value 33 without any decimal point. Let's
係。 。
Q 嚟㗎嘛，Q 幫到 Q 係。通常我啲咁嘅 message 都係你改你揾嘢上去，有啲佢唔會幫你揾嘢嘅。即係爆嗰個好似你本身加個咁嘅叫話 Q 嘅時候，係啊，你改咗嘅話咧，佢唔會幫你做 link 咁我點樣去？咩關然之後咧？咁多嘢緊呢個叫但係覺得或者佢其他嘅好多時候咁33。
So now is the final step. To use it in our string, we'll call our method label. Method label dot text equals to there's a very convenient method in Swift that whenever you want to convert any data type to string, you just need to do this census integer. So this is how you pass any data type in the string. Just use the string and then just slash, backslash, and then bracket it, and it will auto change the value of integer to string and display it. And you can see there's an error because the whole request thing, this NS URL you have written is actually a block that can be run on different threads. So sometimes it's out of the context. So you need to use, according to the error, you need to use self. Yeah. Whenever you're calling a variable inside a block, you need to use self to refer the weather label here. So this weather label up there, and you refer it using self.weather label. And then you change the text to Celsius integer. So now you run it on iPhone, you can have the correct weather every time you open the app. Okay? You know what I mean? Check. Oh. Very textures.分翻做 main thread 啫係咪？未另外寫個 function 出嚟。
好似可以就唔講嘅。
等我試下先。So the error message here actually is because the whole network request is happening in the background thread. If you learn about thread in operating system, so there is actually a process being run in the background. But in order to modify anything in the display, you need to get to the main thread, which is the main progress. So we get an error because we are not modifying the UI in the main thread. So to solve this, we can use Google. This is how you do programming.你 update 到咧？
你咧就大概咧話，都有 flash 啊，
要 crash 㗎嘛？記得。
係啊，但係 update 到喎。
我識咩答嘅？我記得啦。記得啦。因為之前忽然間改咗 accession。display 咩？嗰咩升？再 display。美國嗰個 game name。Special Yes. It works now. So what we do actually, there is a GCD function that's called dispatch, and then you get back to the main progress, and then inside the main progress you just modify the tags. Actually, there are better way to do this, but for this workshop purpose, we write it like this.其實 iOS 咧，佢係一定並非
都係 iOS 啦，Android 都好似係 Android 都係。
iOS 係神咯，記得 Android 啫。iOS 係 main factor 先至可以講 UI，所以你要將嗰個 UI 嗰句嘢咧，你要擺翻個 main factor，所以就會爆嘅。但係會有咁樣注意到啦，因為好多所以我打住。To make it look more real, I will change the 25 to maybe dash first. So every time you open the app now, you will display as dash, and then only it will return the current temperature. Yeah.
是一 full screen 的那种来看，就是 full screen 很差，佢唔係佢都唔係一個海報，係一個 cartoon 啊嘛，
咁樣實㗎嘛。
但係你一查但係佢應該係分 full screen 同埋 full screen 咁樣，所以就咁樣做。而家甚至可以加埋晒上。但係啲中文版嘅，唔知乜中文版，方嘅，好似有得教黑仔嘅，即係全部黑晒，呢個睇黑晒，係啊，咁奇怪。以前班好似係咯，好型。我覺得正常。
So that's all for the workshop today. The coming workshop is this Thursday, same place, same time, 3 to 5. And from today's code and the video, I will upload it to our Google Drive, same as last week. And the video will be uploaded tonight or tomorrow morning, and I will send an email to notify you all. And this Thursday we will be doing sports car ad. We're trying to display a list of sports car and then their detail. We'll be using UI table view, which is a very common thing to use in iOS programming. So we can leave now, or if you have any question, you can stay back and ask me.